Okay, let's call this meeting of the county board to order. It's 7:02. It's Thursday, December 17th, 2009. Would the clerk call the roll, please? Yes.
McGinty. Michaels. Here. Mosier. Nudo. Here. O'Connor. Here. Richards. Rosales.
Here.
Sapp. Here. Schrader.
Here.
Smucker.
Here.
Wysocki.
Here.
Ammons. Here. Anderson.
Here.
Beckett.
Here.
Benzel.
Here.
Betts.
Here.
Carter.
Here.
Cowart. Dennitz.
Here.
Gladney.
Present.
James.
Here.
Jay.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
Knott.
Here.
Kurtz.
Here.
Weibel.
Here. Mr. McGinty was not able to make the meeting tonight for medical reasons. Tonight's prayer is a poem by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Write it on your heart that every day is the best day in the year. He is rich who owns the day, and no one owns the day, who allows it to be invaded with fret and anxiety. Finish every day and be done with it. You have done what you could. Some blunders and absurdities no doubt crept in. Forget them as soon as you can. Tomorrow is a new day. Begin it well and serenely, with too high a spirit to be cumbered with your old nonsense. This new day is too dear, with its hopes and inventions, to waste a moment on the yesterdays. Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would the clerk read the notice of the meeting, please?
Notice is hereby given that a regular meeting of the County Board, Champaign County, Illinois, will convene on December 17th, 2009, 7 p.m. in the Lyle Childs Meeting Room, Brookings Administrative Center, 1776 East Washington Street, Urbana, Illinois, in said county for the purpose of allowing and ordering payments of claims against the county, receiving and acting upon reports of committees and such other matters as may be brought before said meeting, which said meeting shall continue in session from day to day until the completion of said business.
Move adoption of the notice.
Moved by Mr. Betts, second by Ms. Wysocki. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Seek approval of the minutes of November 19th, 2009 and November 30th, 2009.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Wysocki, second by Mr. Betts. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Seek approval of the agenda and the addenda. Moved by Mr. Langenheim. Second by Mr. Kurtz. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. The date and time of the next regular county board meeting is Thursday, January 21st, 2010 at 7 p.m. in this room. Point out that the starting next month, the board will be having committee of the whole meetings. The first one's on January 5th, 2010 at 6 p.m. And the second one is at January 12th, 2010, it's at also at 6 p.m. in this room. Consent agenda. Wait, is that what we do? Okay. Seems high on the agenda also. Consent agenda. Any item somebody wishes to take off the consent agenda? Mr. Beckett.
I move the consent agenda.
Second by Mr. Mosier. Roll call.
Langenheim.
Yes.
Michaels.
Yes.
Mosier.
Yes.
Nudo.
Yes.
O'Connor.
Yes.
Richards. Oh, sorry, Rosales.
Yes.
Sapp.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Smucker.
Yes.
Wysocki.
Yes.
Ammons.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Beckett.
Yes.
Benzel.
Yes.
Betts.
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
Cowart.
Yes.
Dennitz. Gladney.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Jay.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Knott.
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Weibel.
Yes, motion carries. Public participation. Mr. Tony Fabry.
I'll be brief, but I put on your desks the certificate we just received in the auditor's office. It's the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting presented by the Government Finance Officers Association. and this is for our FY08 annual audit. It's an award that we're quoting from the press release. It's the highest form of recognition in the area of governmental accounting and financial reporting. This is an award that Champaign County has been fortunate to receive for its annual audit done by the auditor's office every year for over a quarter century. We've gotten it 3 years in a row since I've been auditor. It's something I'm personally very proud in, but while I know a lot of folks in this room are going to want to give me all the credit actually belongs to many other people. And the lion's share of the work on this audit is done by the Chief Deputy, Carol Wadley, and the lion's share of the credit goes to her as well. Everyone in the auditor's office pitches in this, but also many other departments in the county help provide the information that we need to audit. And then also the outside auditing firm of Bray Drake also puts in a lot of work to make sure that our numbers are what they say they are. So this is something that all of us can take a lot of pride in, and just wanted the board members and the public to be aware of it. Thank you very much.
Is there further public participation? We will close that. Move on to announcements and communications from the board. Ms. Ammons.
I just wanted to take this opportunity, since Mr. Fabry took the time to come and share that award with us, to applaud the auditor's office for that award and all of those who have assisted in making it happen. Congratulations.
Ms. Wysocki.
Yes, at the November 30th meeting of the Environment and Land Use Committee, the committee signed off on stage 4 of the Land Resource Management Plan, meaning that the plan is now ready to, or will be ready to go for a 30-day public review. The public review will begin on January the 11th of 2010 and will extend until February 9th. There will be all kinds of publicity out about ways in which the public can both access the document as well as offer any comments, criticisms, and even kudos that they might want to share with the planners as well as with the county board. In the middle of that review period, on January the 26th, there will be a public meeting which will be at the Holiday Inn in Urbana between 4 and 7 p.m. And that will be another opportunity for the public to provide input, again, to comment on any or all stages of the plan as it gets prepared for its final presentation to the county board.
Other announcements. I have one here. Is that you may have noticed that I'll call you up this one. You may have noticed that your per diem sheet is no longer being circulated. That's because we found it just easier if Ms. Busey just check off if you're here, and also you can use the minutes too. There's no reason for you to sign off on it. So you're going to get paid. Don't worry. Okay, Mr. Nudo, you had an announcement?
Yes, thank you. Just wanted to announce that 30 trees were planted at the nursing home over this past month, and thanks to many of the board members for their contributions. We raised more than enough to pay the arborist who planted them, and the trees were donated. So we have more than enough to actually do some floral plantings in the spring, and that's what we'll instruct the auxiliary to do. So thank you very much to everybody who participated, and we're glad to have 30 more trees at the nursing home.
Very good. Further announcements? Okay, move on to committee reports. Justice and Social Services, Mr. Gladney.
There are no items from Justice this month.
Thank you. County Facilities, Mr. Beckett.
On behalf of Facilities, I recommend adoption of Resolution Number 7209, appropriating $4,098.83 from the Champaign County Nursing Home Construction Fund for invoice from Phoebus and Kester dated November 11, 2009 for reimbursable expenses, and I so move.
Second.
Second by Mr. Betts. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
On behalf of Facilities, recommend adoption of Resolution Number 7210, appropriating $137,975 from the Champaign County Nursing Home Construction Fund and General Corporate Fund for invoice from Phoebus and Kester dated November 11, 2009 for legal fees, and I so move.
Second.
Second by Mr. Betts. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
That's all for facilities.
Thank you, Mr. Beckett. Policy, personnel, and appointments. Mr. Betts.
Mr. Chairman,
Why don't we switch places for these appointments?
this is because we did not have a policy meeting this month, because we had a slight agenda at best. Mr. Chairman, your appointment to the Champaign County Mental Health Department.
I'd like
Board.
to appoint Ernest Gilliard and Mr. Tom Moore.
Is there a second to that motion? Seconded by Mr. Beckett. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carries. For the Champaign County Nursing Home Board of Directors, your selection, Mr. Chairman.
I'm pleased to nominate LaShunda Hambrick.
Seconded by Mr. Beckett. Discussion. Yes, Mr. Jones.
Yes, I just had a question. When we started the board a couple years back, I remember we had specific qualifications we were looking for the people, that they fit certain areas. And I was just curious with Ms. Hambrick, which of those areas that she fulfilled?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Well, certainly she's got degrees in marketing, business administration. She's got experience on the county boards, done experience with the nursing home. I think she's very well qualified.
Ms. Busey?
Social services was one of the areas that board member, there should be a nursing home board member who carries that experience and expertise, and she does carry that as well. And that was specifically set out as a requirement, and the board member she is replacing brought that previously to this board.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Betts.
Thank you.
Mr. Betts.
I move adoption of Resolution 7214, approving the Martin Luther King Jr. proclamation.
Second by Ms. Cowart. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Betts. Finance Committee, Mr. Rosales.
The Finance Committee met last week, and the Finance Committee moves to adopt Resolution 7215, purchase not following purchasing policy.
Second.
Second by Mr. Beckett. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Adoption of Resolution 7216, payment of claims authorization.
Second.
Second by Mr. Betts. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Committee also moves to the adoption of Resolution 7229, budget amendment number 1000006. This is in the amount of $84,559 to be increased by, to be increased to $95,500.
Second by Mr. Mosier. Appropriations for $84,559. The revenue is $95,500, just to clarify. Discussion. Mr. Betts.
I guess it's on this agenda because both Ms. Wisaki and myself, we're having a hard time following the argument the other evening as to exactly what is taking place with this hiring and budget process. If Ms. Busey could briefly summarize it, and then I think she might be able to clarify it, so I feel much more comfortable in voting to support this.
Since the 2010 budget was adopted, AOIC notified probation court services, which also includes the juvenile detention center, that their funding for 2010 was going to be greater than what we had in the budget. And that was just because of the state budget notification came after our budget process was done. So the court services department, because of the funds in that were cut from AOIC eliminated 2 full-time court services probation officers. With this budget amendment, they're asking that those 2 probation officers be reinstated with the funding from AOIC. The second budget amendment here also increases the health insurance line item for general corporate to cover the health insurance for those 2 additional positions in the 2010 budget. That is effectively where most of the money goes. However, there's one other issue, and that is that there are 23 court services officers at the Juvenile Detention Center. There were 30 last year. They cut 7 positions. They are requesting 3 months of a 24th position to cover 3 medical leaves that they have in December, January, and February of current court services officers. So you're also increasing the staffing for Juvenile Detention Center by 1 officer for 3 months so that they can cover those medical leaves. And all of this change in the budget accomplishes those things.
Go ahead.
In terms of the state money, it's secure money. It's not going to be given and then taken back mid-year.
It is the commitment from AOIC of salary reimbursement funding for fiscal year 2010. Now, AOIC, sometimes the state pays us very late. We did ultimately receive what they appropriated in fiscal year 2009, but the backup plan for that, if the state does not come through with this funding, is that probation service fees fund was going to reimburse general corporate, and we've also cut the probation service fees revenue that would be coming into general corporate by the amount that will be received from AOIC. If the AOIC money is not received, the Court Services Department knows that they will have to use the probation service fees funds to transfer into general corporate to cover what is not received from AOIC in fiscal 2010.
I have a follow-up, Mr. Chairman. Sure. The other aspect of this is the census at the facility. Doesn't the census impact?
The census at the facility is the reason that you have gone from 30 court services officers at Juvenile Detention Center to 23. The census is now, the facility will not house more than 25 juveniles, whereas previously the potential census at the detention center was 40. I'm not sure they've ever actually had 40 juveniles in the center. Their average daily census is in the low 20s, which is why they believed that they could take the operation down to a 25-bed facility.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Please note that Mr. Richards has arrived. Mr. Nudo?
If I'm reading Tom's question, just as a follow-up, is there an expectation that future years will fund these 2 positions?
Yes, because the revenue from AOIC has been restored, and that revenue is specifically to reimburse salaries of probation officers.
And do ratios of staff to those that are in the incarcerated, is there a ratio that they try to fund?
2 positions that you're reinstating are not at the Juvenile Detention Center. They are probation officers in the Court Services Department at the courthouse. But I believe there is a ratio that is required of staff to census, and at 23 officers, they are at the minimum staffing level to maintain a 25-bed facility.
Okay, thank you.
Further discussion? Roll call.
Langenheim.
Yes.
Michaels.
Yes.
Excuse me. Mosher.
Yes.
Nudo.
Yes.
O'Connor.
Yes.
Richards.
Yes.
Rosales.
Yes.
Sapp.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Smucker.
Yes.
Wysocki.
Yes.
Ammons.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Beckett. Benzel. Betts.
Yes.
Carter. Cowart. Dennett.
Yes.
Gladney.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Jay.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Knott.
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Weibel.
Yes, motion carries. Mr. Rosales.
Number 4, adoption of Resolution 7230. This is a budget amendment number 10-00007, which is actually for $10,941. This amendment is a supplement to Amendment 10-00006 for additional health insurance coverage for 2 full-time positions in the court services.
Second by Mr. Mosier. Discussion. Seeing none, roll call.
Langenheim. Michaels.
Yes.
Mosier. Nudo.
Yes.
O'Connor. Richards. Rosales.
Yes.
Sapp. Schrader. Smucker. Wysocki.
Yes.
Ammons. Anderson.
Yes.
Beckett. Benzel. Betts.
Yes.
Carter. Cowart. Dinitz. Gladney. James. Jay. Jones. Knott. Kurtz. Weibel.
Yes, motion carries.
Adoption of resolution number 7217, emergency budget amendment, number 0900112. This is an increase of $22,091.
Second by Mr. James. Discussion. Ms. Adams.
I just wanted to ask if Mr. Geraldo Rosales would explain this transfer here.
I would defer that to Deb.
Go ahead, Ms. Pusey.
It's actually a request for an expenditure increase, and what you're doing is appropriating all of the remaining cash in this fund, and these monies are being used to pay the two bills that you approved under the county facilities portion of the agenda tonight.
Thank you, Deb.
Further discussion. Ms. Cowart.
Will this close the nursing home construction fund account?
In terms of, it will no longer have cash in it. We could keep the fund, but it will not have cash in it.
Mr. Beckett.
When we get the money from the arbitration, will it have to go into this fund, or will we make a decision at that time?
You will make a decision at that time.
Further discussion. Roll call.
Langenheim. Michaels. Mosier. Nudo. O'Connor. Richards. Rosales.
Yes.
Sapp. Schrader. Smucker. Wysocki.
Yes.
Ammons. Anderson.
Yes.
Beckett. Benzel. Betts.
Yes.
Carter. Cowart. Dinitz. Gladney. James. Jay. Jones. Knott. Kurtz. Weibel.
Yes, motion carries.
Adoption of resolution number 7233, emergency budget amendment number 0900114. This is a 076 tort immunity tax fund 07 from the general county. This is for the appropriate expenditure authorized required to pay all FY 2009 general corporate work comp premiums.
Second by Mr. Mosier. Discussion.
Yes.
Mr. Langenheim. Microphone, please.
Okay. Have those premiums remained constant, or are they rising?
There was a significant increase in our workers' comp rate earlier this year, and this is, you amended this budget already once previously. This is as we pay out the final expenses for the fiscal year. We did not have enough appropriated. This is to cover all of the expenses. We did know, well, what we know to be the current rates are what the fiscal year 2010 budget is based on. As long as they don't change substantially, we should not have to do this again next year, but that remains to be seen.
Thank you.
Further discussion.
This will be an increase of actually $30,000. I forgot to mention that.
Any further discussion? Okay, roll call.
Langenheim. Michaels. Mosier. Nudo. O'Connor. Richards. Rosales.
Yes.
Sapp. Schrader. Smucker. Wysocki.
Yes.
Ammons. Anderson.
Yes.
Beckett. Benzel.
No.
Betts.
Yes.
Carter. Cowart. Dinitz. Gladney. James. Jay. Jones. Knott. Kurtz. Weibel.
Yes, motion carries.
Adoption of resolution number 7234, emergency budget amendment for $5,299. This is to re-encumber unspent funds for fiscal year 2009 for the remaining portion of the county clerk's election storage space remodeling.
Second by Mr. Carter. I'll point out that the amendment number is 10-00012. Discussion. Mr. Sapp.
Deb, can you explain, this is money that was left over from an insurance payment that was made for the loss of a building that then the insurance money was used on the old highway garage or some remodeling that is still not up to par yet to move the county clerk in, correct?
That's correct, and this is just what was left of that money, and because we are still uncertain about what we're doing with that building this year, we wanted to carry over the money that was designated for that building in that line item in case it's spent in this fiscal year.
Ms. Ammons?
I was going to ask that, but Deb, you said you carrying it over to 2010's budget. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, this is the amount that was not spent of what we had for that
For that
building.
remodel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Further discussion? Roll call?
Langenheim. Yes. Michaels. Yes. Mosher. Nudo.
Yes.
O'Connor. Richards. Rosales.
Yes.
Sapp. Schrader.
Yes.
Smucker.
Yes.
Wysocki. Ammons. Anderson.
Yes.
Beckett. Benzel. Betts.
Yes.
Carter. Cowart. Dennett. Gladney. James.
Yes.
Jay.
Yes.
Jones. Knott.
Yes.
Kurtz. Weibel.
Yes, motion carries.
Adoption of resolution number 7235, emergency budget transfer number 090017 for $20,000 to remove adequate expenditure authority for gasoline and oil to the line item for workers' compensation to pay out in fiscal year 2009 total expenses for workers' compensation.
Second by Ms. Cowart. Discussion. Ms. Ammons?
I really would be interested in why we would take gas and oil money to pay workers' compensation.
This is the end of the fiscal year '09 budget, and so the Highway Department has the same issue that General Corporate did with workers' compensation. Their rates went up substantially this year, and to transfer money from a commodities line item, gasoline and oil, to a personnel line item, workers' compensation, requires the approval of the county board. He's simply moving money in his '09 budget from one line item to another. He didn't spend it on gasoline and oil this year, the full amount that was budgeted.
Further discussion? Roll call?
Langenheim.
Yes.
Michaels.
Yes.
Mosher. Nudo.
Yes.
O'Connor. Richards. Rosales.
Yes.
Sapp.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Smucker.
Yes.
Wysocki.
Yes.
Ammons. Anderson.
Yes.
Beckett.
Yes.
Benzel. Betts.
Yes.
Carter. Cowart. Dennett.
Yes.
Gladney.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Jay.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Knott.
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Weibel.
Yes, motion carries.
Item D, Finance Committee, is actually an additional sheet that you have with items 9 and 10 that were included. So the committee adoption of resolution number 7239, emergency budget amendment number 0900115 from the 613 Court Automation Fund. And that fund is 030 for the circuit clerk in the amount of $25,000 to appropriate funding required to pay portions of salary for courts technology coordinator position.
Second.
Second by Mr. Schrader. Discussion. Ms. Cowart?
Yes, are we adding a position, and I thought we were on the hiring freeze.
This is not a new position. This is the court's technology coordinator position, which the county has had since 2002. But the funding for the position was moved to courts automation earlier this year, and the clerk didn't do a budget amendment at the time that it was done, so she's doing it now.
Further discussion? Roll call?
Langenheim.
Yes.
Michaels.
Yes.
Mosher. Nudo.
Yes.
O'Connor.
Yes.
Richards.
Yes.
Rosales.
Yes.
Sapp.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Smucker.
Yes.
Wysocki. Ammons. Anderson.
Yes.
Beckett. Benzel. Betts.
Yes.
Carter. Cowart. Dennett.
Yes.
Gladney.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Jay.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Knott.
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Weibel.
Yes, motion carries.
And the last but not least, item 10, adoption of resolution number 7240, authorizing Champaign County application for energy efficiency conservation block grant on behalf of the Champaign County Schools.
Second by Mr. Smucker. Mr. Moore, inasmuch as we just received this today, would you be willing to come up and explain this to the board, please?
Thank you. This agenda item deals with one of the many programs that were created within the federal stimulus package, and they're created a category of new programs called Energy Efficiency Conservation Block Grants. Within that, there actually are several different categories that you can apply for. One of those categories, this is a Type 2 application. And the eligible applicants for this particular funding are units of local government, municipal or county, that were not formula funded. And that's important. Champaign and Urbana receive formula funding. They can't apply for this. Champaign County can, because we were not formula funded, and we can apply on behalf of other entities. In this case, we're applying on behalf of the Champaign County schools in general, but specifically Champaign County schools for energy efficiency retrofits. The reason that they're applying for these funds, there is a 5-to-1 leverage requirement with these dollars. So as an example, if you apply for $200,000, you got to have $1 million. The schools, as you know, received approval of a sales tax revenue earlier this year. So they have dollars available that they already plan to do energy retrofits with. And what they're hoping to do is to supplement those dollars with some grant funds through the Energy Efficiency Conservation Block Grant Program. And again, I doubt if they didn't have those tax revenues from the sales tax that they would be able to meet the 5-to-1 leverage requirements, but it's just kind of a unique convergence of two opportunities, the approval of the sales tax and the availability of these Energy Efficiency Conservation Block Grant dollars for this purpose. So I'd be happy to try to answer any questions.
Ms. Boisaki?
Does this mean that all county schools will be doing something to retrofit their buildings for energy conservation needs?
Well, we hope so. The genesis of this was we were actually approached, and again, I don't want to make this more complicated than it is, but Champaign schools plan to issue bonds for energy retrofits to their schools, and they would then pay the bonds off with the new sales tax proceeds. They have a very well-developed plan. Their bond counsel is the one that approached us about applying on their behalf. When we had that conversation, we said, we don't think it's appropriate for us to apply on behalf of only one school district in the county. So Champaign County has a very well-developed request for $1.6 million. We said, let's try to apply for additional money, and if we're able to get that, and there's a limit to how much we can apply for, it's $5 million for Champaign County. If we are able to get that money, we would also make it available under similar circumstances to Champaign. So I know other schools in the county are looking at energy retrofits, but again, Champaign, at least from the information I've seen, seem to be a little bit further along than some of the other schools.
Ms. Michaels, your first question, please.
I just wonder how we have appropriated the funds that are coming in. Are they based on population of the students or the sizes or the age of the schools? I certainly live in an area that's looking at this right now. And so I wonder, seeing that there's $3.5 million and 1.6 is being applied for in Unit 4, how that's going to pan out for the rest of the county.
We haven't decided that yet. We are going to have to come up with a formula. I mean, this is a very competitive grant, and I would say that it's probably less than 50-50 that will get this. They're only going to award about 20 of these nationwide, so you can imagine what the competition is. But there will be, as you noted, about $1.5, maybe $2 million that could then be available on some proportional basis to the other school districts. But we really haven't worked out the details of that yet. This request just came at us about a week and a half ago, so we've kind of been scrambling to get the application completed and get it in to meet the deadline, which frankly was Monday of this week. So we've already submitted the application, but we do need approval of the applying entity's governing body, and if the county board did not approve this, we would simply withdraw the application.
Mr. Smucker.
You said that Champaign public schools were more advanced or something like that, more prepared to sort of lead this application. What do you mean by that? What does it take to? What does it mean to be more prepared? What do you have to have in place?
Well, they've had their consultants come in. Part of what you have to do in this application, and the only it doesn't mean other school districts don't have it. But part of what you have to do is you have to calculate the actual energy savings, energy reductions. You actually have to hire a very reputable consultant to do that. So they've already done their engineering. They've done their cost estimates. They've actually had their consultant come in and give them an estimate on energy savings, energy reductions, cost savings, what that's going to mean to the school district. And what I was really suggesting is there may be other school districts that have gone that far. I just haven't seen that information. But I have seen it from Champaign.
Mr. Moore, do you think that the administration of the Champaign schools has communicated with other school districts about this? I mean, so they made an attempt to talk to them, or I know they have. They do communicate, but do you think they have for this purpose?
Yeah, there is actually a project, if you will, a coordinated effort among the Champaign County schools. It's actually called the Greening of Champaign County Schools. And so I know many of the school districts are communicating and cooperating. Again, I just haven't seen information to indicate how far along some of the other districts may be. In fact, I guess I do know, I haven't seen the information, but just from talking to them, I know St. Joseph Ogden is probably just as far along as Champaign. But I know there are other schools looking at this as well. We just haven't seen this information from them.
Ms. Ammons.
The grant is awarded to Champaign County. How will you determine how the other schools can benefit if they are not pushing this grant process themselves?
We're going to have to develop some type of an application process, a screening process, and determine what other schools may be able to apply for. And I would guess that if we get this, we'll have more demand than there is money. So we're going to have some kind of weighting criteria so that we can make a decision on that. If it's at least the way we would handle it, as we've handled other grants that we get that we disperse in the community, we'll probably put together some type of a committee to review the applications with ranking criteria, and we'll take whatever applications we get, and the committee will make some decisions. But we really haven't worked through that yet. Again, this just sort of came at us in the last week and a half or so, and we really were reluctant to apply just on behalf of Champaign schools and said if we're going to do this, we're going to include money that could be available to other school systems. We haven't figured out exactly how we would distribute that or how we'd make decisions, but I would guess it'll be somewhat competitive.
Go ahead, Ms.
I have another quick question here. Have you seen a timeline as to when you'll know how much money you will be receiving and when it will be told to you?
Well, if you spend much time dealing with the federal government, there's no answer to that question.
Well, I know, but
I suspect
we just got this tonight, and I just now glanced this over, and it looks
Yeah.
to me like you have like February or March or something like that.
I suspect that it would be February or March. It could be sooner, it could be later. If I had to guess, I would say February, March timeframe.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Rosales.
Do you usually grant the total amount of the request, or do you grant usually a portion, 80%, or a matching grant for those units that are requesting funding?
Well, again, we haven't done this before, and I frankly think part of the answer to that would depend on what the demand was and the quality of the projects. I suspect that if there's a lot of quality projects and great demand, that there may be an attempt to try to give everybody some funding, but maybe not everybody gets everything that they want. If we have more funding than we have requests, we may be in a position to grant 100%. But again, we still need to work those details out.
And one more question. Since the grant application was submitted already on Monday, I guess it puts a lot of other smaller districts to a disadvantage. What would be a deadline or a possible deadline to actually spend this money or submit something to your office?
Well, if we receive the money, because it's part of stimulus, it has to be spent by September of 2011. So assuming we got in the spring that we got notice that this was available, we would try to get that out as quickly as we can, because these are projects that are going to take some time. It's not something you're going to do in 60 days or 90 days. But we would try to get that out as quickly as we can. But then the districts who would receive the money have until September of 2011 to actually expend the funds.
Thank you.
Other questions? Thank you, Mr. Moore. Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Rosales. Highway and Transportation Committee, Ms. Cowart.
Okay, the Highway and Transportation Committee is asking for adoption of resolution number 7218, awarding of contracts for the furnish and delivery of aggregate materials for 2010 maintenance of various road districts in Champaign County.
Second by Mr. Kurtz. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Environment and Land Use Committee, Ms. Wysocki.
Chair, I move that we enter into executive session pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C11 to consider litigation which is probable or imminent against Champaign County Board. I further move that the following individuals remain present: the recording secretary, the county's legal counsel, the director of planning and zoning, and the county administrator.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. James. Roll call.
Langenheim,
Yes.
Michaels, Mosher, Nudo,
Yes.
O'Connor,
No.
Richards,
Yes.
Rosales,
Yes.
Sapp,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Smucker,
Yes.
Wysocki,
Yes.
Ammons, Anderson,
Yes.
Beckett,
Yes.
Benzel, Betts,
Yes.
Carter, Cowart,
Yes.
Dennitz, Gladney, James,
Yes.
Jay,
No.
Jones,
No.
Knott,
Sure.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Weibel.
Yes, he was wrong. Just a clarification, Ms. Wysocki, did you mention Mr. John Hall's name? Okay. Okay. Okay, we're in open session. Please sit down, take your places. Mr. Beckett.
Mr. Chair, I move that we rescind, annul, vacate, and in that way reconsider to be void and of no effect the action taken by the board on November 16, 2009 with respect to ordinance number 857.
Second.
Second by Mr. James. Discussion. Apparently it's November 19th.
Oh, November 19th, I'm sorry.
Note that correction.
I'll concur.
This rescinds it. Discussion. Okay, requires 14 votes, so we have a roll call.
Could you read what we're actually voting on, how you're wording it?
It just cancels our vote from the last board meeting on this item.
If you vote yes.
Vote yes, that's right.
Langenheim? No. Michaels? Mosher? Nudo?
No.
O'Connor?
Yes.
Richards?
Yes.
Rosales?
No.
Sapp?
Yes.
Schrader?
Yes.
Smucker?
No.
Wysocki?
Yes.
Ammons?
Yes.
Anderson?
No.
Beckett?
Yes.
Benzel?
Yes.
Betts?
No.
Carter?
Yes.
Cowart?
Yes.
Dennitz?
No.
Gladney? James?
Yes.
Jay?
No.
Jones?
No.
Knott?
No.
Kurtz?
No.
Weibel?
Yes. Motion carries. Now, that just rescinds the vote on the item, so that means that we can put number 3 on the floor. Is there a mover?
I'll move it. I'll second.
Mr. James moves adoption of ordinance number 857, second by Mr. Gonzalez. Discussion. Mr. Betts.
I voted on the 19th to support the amendment, and I voted against rescinding it tonight because I thought, and I still think that when the board takes action, it ought to be real serious when it takes these kinds of action. I've seen it a number of times over the years where we do something and then next month there's a motion to reconsider after 2 more people show up that weren't there at the previous meeting and what have you. I don't like that particular process. I thought this was a perfectly valid thing to begin with. I think that there are valid governmental interests that were not properly articulated last month in terms of protecting valuable agricultural land. I think there's valid interest in safety aspects in terms of litter, in terms of aesthetics. I think there are valid governmental interests that could have been properly articulated last month. I don't think they're overwhelming. I don't think they're particularly compelling. But I am disturbed by the process that we are going through, and I hope that when we get these cases in the future, we are a little more careful when we're acting as a legislative body and a finder of fact with regard to these matters.
Ms. Ammons.
I just wanted to add to that this request, of course, met the standard of the ordinance, which is where some of the concern was raised. And unfortunately, the governmental interests were not presented at the time that this issue was on the committee's agenda. And so, although we have an ordinance that says this is doable, that this type of building process can take place, we have this agricultural zoning that, of course, in the essence, basically says that we probably should have considered some of the other interests of the county government in this process as well. So I think that those are 2 contradicting, unfortunate situations that did not allow for members really to address either the ordinance as a separate issue and then address the governmental interests under this particular amendment that's being requested.
Further discussion. Ms. Anderson.
Yes, in the discussion prior, I probably talked about preserving prime farmland when I should have been talking about protecting agricultural usage. I know that I based my vote on the materials that we had in our ELUC committee, and in there it talked about this is land that's surrounded by agriculture on all sides. Some of the things that we should consider, knowing that the petitioners had met all of the objective requirements, lot size, etc., but that there are other subjective considerations that we as committee members and then board members need to make. And there was concern in the materials about the amount of traffic that would be generated that might interfere with the agricultural usage, the litter that would be generated by having more residences in the area that could affect the machinery when it's used in agriculture and the land that's surrounding, and that overall that area, although it may not be considered farmland, that the lots that would be developed, but that area in general, it indicated does have a high rating for protection. So those considerations in my opinion, indicated that it would be a governmental interest to protect the usage for agriculture.
Thank you. Other discussion? Mr. James?
Well, hearing Ms. Anderson, I guess what I would say is that should all have been in the code and ordinance prior to this being ruled on by the department that did, giving it the okay. If those terms and language would have been in there to be as a stipulation, then we probably wouldn't even be having this discussion.
Mr. Betts?
Well, we're a legislative body, and the legislative body has a great deal of discretion. We really, I've been told by Mr. Hall that we don't have to rubber stamp what the ZBA does, that we have authority so long as we state a valid governmental interest that is recognized as legitimate. And I think what Ms. Anderson stated is a legitimate governmental interest. Whether you agree with it or not is a different question. I guess in part what I would ask is if Mr. Hall, because I don't know how this vote's going to come out, so that the record is clean, if he could state what he would deem a valid governmental interest or interests for not adopting ordinance number 857 so that we don't get into the same pickle we got into last month.
Mr. Hall? Do you want to try to answer that one?
I don't think that's a fair question to him. You know,
Well, he doesn't have to.
if we haven't set the criteria, I mean, I don't think that's a fair question to John.
He stated it could go either way.
I think that I would like to give Mr. Hall the opportunity to comment or decline comment.
Mr. Betts, I don't know what government interest would be furthered by upholding the decision at the last meeting. You've got 40 pages of evidence from the ZBA. You've got two findings. Those two findings set out why they thought it was suitable and why they thought it was compatible, and it sets out the despites, why someone else might think differently. So clearly the ZBA didn't find all the evidence to be in the affirmative for that proposal. They had their own doubts. And all the government interests that I know of are represented in those two findings. And the ZBA had one finding, and I can understand why the county board, or at least certain members of the county board, might disagree. But all the government interests are already there, I believe. I don't know if that answered your question, but that's really all I can.
It does in part.
Ms. Ammons?
Actually, I wanted to ask a parliamentarian question on this matter. If we could make a substitute motion, if I could make a substitute motion on this issue, ordinance 857, and send it back to committee, which would be a committee of the whole, on January 5th.
I think you typically just refer it back to committee.
So just, we could refer it back to committee so that we could actually go back to that document and study this issue before you vote on it.
I second that.
That's what I
So
would see happen.
you're making a
That's
motion?
my motion. My motion is that we send it back to committee of the whole.
And the second was by who?
Second.
Who seconded?
Second.
Mr. Kurtz? Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Motion fails. Motion fails. Yeah, we had three before the meeting. For the
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Carter?
was this to send it back to the committee?
Yes.
I thought you just made a statement that was the reference, was getting it back to the.
All I said was we had a vote on it, the vote failed.
Can we get a roll call on that?
It's hard to get, you got to call for that before the vote, I'm sorry. That's not the way to do it. If you want a roll call before the vote, you got to say it before the vote. I'm sorry. So we're back to the main motion. Mr. James.
I call the question.
Second.
Request roll call.
Roll call.
A third request for roll call.
Roll call.
Okay, this is the main motion on ordinance number 857. Everybody understand that? You vote yes, that will be adoption of it. You vote no, you do not adopt it. Everybody understand that? Roll call.
Langenheim?
No.
Michaels?
Yes.
Mosier? Nudo?
Yes.
O'Connor?
Yes.
Richards?
No.
Rosales?
Yes.
Sapp?
Yes.
Schrader?
Yes.
Smucker?
No.
Wysocki? Yes. Ammons?
No.
Anderson? Beckett?
Yes.
Benzel?
Yes.
Betts?
Yes.
Carter?
No.
Cowart? Dennett's?
No.
Gladney? James?
Yes.
Jay?
No.
Jones?
Yes.
Knott?
No.
Kurtz?
No.
Weigel?
No. Motion fails. Other business. Mr. Smucker.
I move that we enter into executive session pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C2 to consider collective negotiating matters between Champaign County, its employees, and their representatives. And I further move that the following individuals remain present: County Legal Counsel, the County Administrator, and the Recording Secretary.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Betts. Roll call, please.
Langenheim?
No.
Michaels?
Yes.
Mosier?
Voting here, please.
Call to order.
Mosier?
I voted no.
Nudo?
Yes.
Nudo?
Yes.
O'Connor?
No.
Richards?
Yes.
Rosales?
Yes.
Sapp? Schrader?
Yes.
Smucker? Wysocki?
Yes.
Ammons? Anderson?
Yes.
Beckett?
Yes.
Benzel? Betts?
Yeah.
Carter?
Carter?
Cowart? Dennett's? Gladney? James?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Knott? Kurtz? Weigel?
Yes, motion carries. We're in closed session.